Good afternoon ครับ everyone. Okay, good afternoon Justin ธเนศพล and ขวัญชนกนะครับ and the rest of you นะครับ who are in the room already นะครับ Okay, I hope that all of you are fully wake up already นะครับ so today we are going to talk about นะครับ we are going to talk about chapter 7 นะครับ and also before the end of the class today I'll talk about the examination that we are going to have on next Monday. All right. Okay, so in this one นะครับ okay, so after we talk about the module or chapter number 6 นะครับ that was the implementation strategies นะครับ or development strategies already นะครับ that was the end of what to say the analysis phase นะครับ now we come to the design phase already นะครับ we come to the design phase before we start doing the implementation นะครับ so in this one we talk about the interface user interface design or the UI design นะครับ that is one part of the interaction design that you should know because this part นะครับ is the part that you have to design your system in order to let your users นะครับ to use or interact with this system properly นะครับ with the information system properly. So in this chapter I will explain the concept of user interface design and human computer interaction นะครับ UI design or HCI including basic principles of user-centered design นะครับ we will talk about the user interface design guidelines นะครับ user interface components นะครับ including screen elements that you should have and controls as well นะครับ then we'll discuss about the output design and technologies issues design effective source documents นะครับ because whenever you need to use the whenever we have to use the information system นะครับ apart from the computer นะครับ that are related to the users นะครับ forms or documents นะครับ might be the tools that we get the data from the users into the system as well. For example, if you just like go to send the sales representative นะครับ to meet with the users or sometimes users just like write down the form นะครับ for you and the form is not in the system นะครับ that one we have to think about the effective source document as well. Next one we talk about the input design and technology issues and the guideline for designing the data entry screen, how they're going to have them properly นะครับ and effectively. Then we talk about input mask and validation rules that we use in order to reduce the input errors from users in case that user has to type in the data นะครับ by using their keyboards นะครับ. And we describe about output and input controls as well as the security นะครับ. So for the user interface design here นะครับ in this phase นะครับ the design phase here the system design is the third of 5 phases in the system development life cycle. So now you will work on a physical design that will meet spec นะครับ specification described in the system requirement document that we had from the previous chapter นะครับ when you get the system requirement document already the design นะครับ must be conform or must be compatible with those system requirement documents. Task will include user interface design, data design, and system architecture. And in this phase นะครับ the deliverable from this phase is system design specification. The system design specification will be sent to the developers so that they can develop the software or information system to match with this system design นะครับ because the system design is the way that we design นะครับ the way that information system can be interact with the users นะครับ so นะครับ user interface design is the first task in this phase นะครับ in the design phase of the SDLC. Designing the interface is extremely important because everyone wants a system that is easy to learn and to use. What is UI? For user interface, it is the way that user interface with the system. That means we have to deal with hardware, software, screens, menus, functions, output, and features that affect two-way communication between users and the computer. When you have to do the user interface design, we talk about the evolution of the user interface. In the past, it was process control. So in the past, you could see that, okay, some of the programs, when you just like started writing a program or developing a program, since programming number one course. So actually, it is just like it was the way that you just like enter a a keystroke in order to just answer yes or no, or just like enter some number and press enter to show the answer. So that one was a process control. You just like type or press the button to respond to the system or to the program, just that. As information management evolved from centralized data processing, that one, it was centralized data processing because you want to just like press the button to make the program to run or to stop or to show the output, just that. Now it becomes dynamic, enterprise-wide systems. The primary focus also shifts from the IT department to the users themselves. You can see that right now, if you have seen like some software, you can customize the screen, the user screen, so that it matches with what you need. It might just like you may choose like the frequently used functions that you just like put on them on one side. Wow, some functions that you rarely use or you never use it, you can disable it, something like that. The screen color, the theme you can set up as well, the background, it depends on just like the software or that information allows you to do so. The theme that you want to have, for example, if you are talking about your email system, for example, if you use Gmail, or if you use Yahoo Mail, you can set the theme, the font size that you want to have, the organizing of the mailboxes that you want to have as well. That one, it's shifted from the owner of the that mail service system to be you who are the users already. So it is user-centered or user-centric system. So that's why for the user-centered system or user-centric system, it requires an understanding of human-computer interaction and user-centered design principles. So when we talk about the human-computer interaction or HCI, this science describes the relationship between computers and people who use them to perform their jobs. And in this one, it also deals with GUI or graphical user interface. The main objective for graphical user interface is to make user-friendly design or create a user-friendly design that is easy to learn and to use. You can see that right now, if you see most of mobile phone apps in the world, it's foolproof. That means even though they don't have any manual, but when you download that software or that applications into your mobile phone, you can just like use it easily, and it's easy to learn as well. Okay. Apart from that one, you can see that the UI design for the phone OS, for example, if you are talking about the iOS on your iPhone or Android on your Android smartphone, you can see that on the first day that you buy that smartphone, you can use it straight away. At most, some of the features that are quite new you may just like take 1 or 2 hours at most to learn about it and to use it easily and effectively as well. Okay, so when we talk about the user interface design, we always concerned about the rights of the users นะครับ when they have to use that screen นะครับ or the part of information system. These are users' rights. The first one, in terms of perspective, นะครับ when users use the system, you have to just like make them think that the users always is right. If there is a problem with the use of the system is the problem, not the users นะครับ this is the perspective of the users นะครับ next one, installation. User has the right to install and uninstall software when they don't want, and hardware systems easily without negative consequences. You can see that in the past นะครับ when you install some old software in the computer นะครับ long time ago, once you uninstall already, it makes your let's say it makes your system not to be the same as before. For example, that means if you just like install a software that links with your word processor, okay, if you don't want that software and you take it out, you uninstall it, it might cause your word processor to be to have some problems นะครับ some points or something might be missing, but right now it's different point of view ครับ if you uninstall, you have to uninstall it completely. At most, you can keep something like, for example, the cache or some user's data that you can leave in the user's computer. But any parts that your program used to modify users program or other programs of your users, you have to return everything in the original state นะครับ so this is the right of users for their installation or uninstallation. Next, compliance. The user has the right to a system that performs exactly as promised. If it cannot perform as the promise, they can uninstall it immediately or they can complain about it straight away. Next one, instruction. User has a right to easy to use instructions like user guides, online or contextual help, and error messages. So that means in your software นะครับ you must have these kind of user guides or user instructions นะครับ to let users to access easily นะครับ for understanding and utilizing a system to achieve their desired goals and recover efficiently and gracefully from problem situation. So you can see that's why นะครับ many software right now, if your computer is crashed and then you restart it นะครับ they have the recovery file for you นะครับ that you can recover to the state that you did before the system had the problem นะครับ next is about the control. The user has the right to be in control of the system and to be able to get the system respond to a request for attention นะครับ in terms of feedback, the user has the right to a system that provides clear, understandable, and accurate information regarding the tasks it is performing and the progress toward completion. That means when users enter anything นะครับ the system must not keep quiet. You have to respond to the user that, okay, what they did is wrong or not or correct, and what does the system expect the user to do in the next step. But if you keep quiet, the user doesn't know that what's wrong with it. They might think that the software นะครับ is freezing or the system is freezing, and then the things that they may do is that they terminate that software and then restart again. That might cause a problem นะครับ so that's why you need to have the feedback to give the feedback to the users. Sometimes you can see that they have like the timeline or the time bar that, okay, for let's say if you ask the user to fill up in the form นะครับ and you have 3 steps sorry, 4 steps in the form. You may have just like the timeline that right now, how many steps that users finish already and how many steps do they have leftนะครับ or you may have like number 3 out of 4 something like that so that they know how many steps they have left and then they can make a decision whether they want to go on or cancel this action first. Next is dependencies. Users has a right to be informed clearly about system requirements for successfully using software and hardware นะครับ for the system requirements that you gather นะครับ if you remember when we finished the previous phase we had to just like prepare about the system requirements นะครับ and also the system spec as well that one นะครับ user should have the right to know about that นะครับ also when it becomes the software already you should just like let the users to know their system requirements before they can start using this software first. Otherwise, if they don't know, I mean like, for example, the way that many software does is that first, when users start installing that software, it checks the system requirements automatically first. If the hardware or the software that users have does not meet the requirements นะครับ it shows the message immediately and stop installing นะครับ otherwise if you say that okay you install until the last stage and then you just like tell the users that okay your system or your hardware is not compatible นะครับ or doesn't meet minimum requirements then users will get angry นะครับ because they have to waste the time to uninstall the software. For example นะครับ let me give you an easy example here like Windows 11 นะครับ like Windows 11 you don't need to waste the time to download Windows 11 before you install it because นะครับ before you can install it check whether your computer is compatible to install Windows 11 or not นะครับ or in terms of Mac if you just like check for updates นะครับ if your computer is not compatible it just show you นะครับ with the message that your computer is the latest update there's no need to have further update or your computer is not compatible นะครับ your computer is not compatible with the next version of Mac something like that of Mac OS something like that นะครับ that one is about dependencies นะครับ that users have right to do so next one is scope ครับ user has right to know the limits of system capability number 9 assistance user has the right to communicate with the technology provider and receive a thoughtful and helpful response when raising concerns นะครับ so this one you may have to provide the channels so that the users can contact with the help desk นะครับ with the owner or the developers of the system so that when they have the problem they can ask นะครับ for help or discuss about just like the solution and the last one usability users should be the master of software and hardware technology not vice versa products should be natural and intuitive to use you can see that นะครับ let me give you an easy example and effective example of good UI design นะครับ so when you buy a brand new car นะครับ for example if we are talking about the latest model of BMW car you can see that there are lots of functions in the car that users can use the intuitive to use as well. For example, if you would like to control, if you would like to control the volume of your stereo system in the car, okay, basically for typical users who are not the high-tech people, the things they have to do is that they just turn the knob, นะครับ what to say clockwise in order to increase the volume or anti-clockwise to reduce the volume while the advanced user นะครับ they can use that gesture in order to turn up or turn down the volume as well, instead of just like using the knobs that has on the dashboard. Or some people who don't want to use the knob, they can also use the touch screen as well to reduce or to increase the volume as well. This one, you can see that this is the usability for users in different what to say expertise in order to use the same system. Something like that. When we talk about the next thing, it is the principle of user-centered design. So for the principle of user-centered design, the first thing is that we have to understand the business first before you can design for the user-centered design. For example, if you say that, okay, you are your customers or your users, I mean, they are running the business that is what to say, plastic bottle manufacturing company, let's say. So the plastic bottle manufacturing company, they have to be in the factory that consists of plastic beads and very high, quite high temperature in there. So the things that you have to know is that, okay, if your machines or system to control the machines use the keyboard, you can see that while the users are working in their factory, they may have to wear the glove, the leather glove all the time. So that means if you just they use a keyboard and they have to type in the numbers or something like that, that is not the good way, because for sure, most of the time when they wear gloves and press on the keyboard, they cannot do it properly. They may accidentally press the wrong button. So that's why in that case, if the business is in the factory, most of the system that you design has to be used in the factory. You may have to use other channels in order to help users to enter their data instead. For example, if you say that, okay, it's the production lot that users have to enter instead of typing on the keyboard, you may say that, okay, every day the user has to just like go to the office first to get the requirements or production plan of the day. In that page, you may have like QR code. So that means when the user just come to the production line already, that QR code may be printed in the plastic tag, let's say, instead of the paper tag. So that means when they go to the production line, instead of typing the batch number, they don't need to do so. They just like scan the QR code on that plastic tag. That should be just like the easier way for the users who have to use that kind of thing. Or when we talk about, like, let's say supermarket, if you design to let the users who are cashier to type the items that customer order through keyboard, it is quite difficult for them too, because if you just use the regular keyboard, how or where do they put the keyboard on the cashier counter? Let's think about, like, if we're talking about Lotus or Big C, you can see that if you really have to use keyboards, there are two choices. One is a keyboard that is just like the specially designed keyboard that is on the next of the screen, and it's a vertical one, and you may have just like numeric keypads only. Or the other way, we use keyboard that is virtual keyboard on the screen instead. But most of the time, users will not use that one. And also, if you say that keyboard on the screen, if it is a virtual keyboard, the size must be large enough, because sometimes you have to know that the size of the finger, the fingertip of everyone is different. So that's why you need to just like make the keyboard size to be big enough. Okay, when you understand the business already, then we have to maximize the graphical effectiveness. You can see that because we have like new kind of input output devices already. Try to maximize the graphical effectiveness. That means instead of just like using what to say, a very tiny font, use the font that is big enough in order to let the users to enter the data correctly. Apart from that one, because right nowนะครับ, if the hardware that you would like to purchase to use with that systemนะครับ, is a new model already, so you can have the touch screenนะครับ, then you can maximize graphical effectiveness. Instead of using the physical keyboard, you can use the virtual keyboard using the touch screen instead. Okay. Robert said that virtual keyboards are horrible. What's going on, Robert? Can you share to us, what happened to the virtual keyboard? The virtual keyboard, they never register your finger tapping on the screen. It's annoying. So this is the problem. What should we do in this case? If that means, okay, so for some virtual keyboards, when it doesn't work, you may need to help your users as well. For example, if you say that you really have to use virtual keyboard because there is no space in order to put the physical keyboard over there. So somebody who has the accessibility to the keyboard like that, you may need to have just like something like the pen in order to tap on the keyboard, just in case that you know that there are somebody who has a problem with that with the virtual keyboard. Or if you say that, okay, before you purchase that hardware, you may have to see the review first, that there are a lot of people has a problems with the virtual keyboard or not. If yes, you may have to change to another model that is better quality instead. So you have to check about this one as well. Let me just give you some example. Some of the apartments in Thailand, when you have to just like stay in the apartment to in order to access, you may have to use fingerprint. You may have to use your fingerprint. What happened is some of the fingerprint scanner cannot detect the fingerprint of someone. For example, in my condo as well, somebody for me as well, sometimes when I scan the finger to open the door, it doesn't detect my fingerprints. So in this one, how can you solve this problem? If you say that, okay, you need to use the access control while the fingerprint is the primary device. When somebody cannot use the fingerprint, and you say that it's compulsory to just like identify yourself before you can use the system, you may say that, okay, you have a spare way in order for letting those users to log in. For example, you may say that, okay, they can use the keyboard to enter their user ID and password, or in the case of the door access control, you may also have like another device that is the tap the touch like the card the card scanner that you tap the card or the tag to open the door instead. This one I found that, okay, there were problems for like some apartments since many years ago, because sometimes I saw that, okay, I just noticed in some apartments when people would like to access and they cannot use their fingerprint, they stand up in front of the door and wait. When other people just like scan their fingers and then the door is open, they can just like also go to that enter the into that building with that person. So this one, you can see that if the fingerprint doesn't work in here, you need to find some other alternative way to help. Otherwise, you cannot control anything. Let me give you some ideas for this problem as well. In the past, on some gen ed courses, I use a portable fingerprint scanner to scan for the attendance of the student. It's still in my office right now. Some of the students, I don't know what's going on with them, but I think it's the normal thing. During winter time or the dry season, like for example in Thailand, the season that it's very dry atmosphere is around like November, December. Some of the students, their finger skin was peeled off, so they couldn't scan to check for the attendance. That's the first one. The next one, somebody's fingerprint is very faded. When you have a look on your fingerprints, some of you may not even see the fingerprint at all. So this point is that those students, they couldn't scan on the fingerprint scanner. This is a problem as well in here. So let's imagine that if this application is seriously implemented for the immigration officer in the airport, what should we do? In that case, firstly, you have to buy a very high quality and sensitive fingerprint and palm print scanner. Because if you cannot, if anyone who has just like the problem of the skin peeling off, or the problem of just like faded fingerprints, when they need to just like pass that gate, you need to have just like some way in order to help them in this one. So the next one, think like a user, is the next thing that you have to know for the principle of user centric. So for the think like a user, it helps. Think as if you were the user and you have to use the system, and you understand that, okay, this way I like, this way I understand or not, this way I can use it easily or not. Next, use models and prototypes. This one will be very effective. Try to have the models and prototypes to let the users see, so that they can evaluate whether they could use this system easily or not, and they understand the system's usage or not. So you can see from their response of the models and prototype that you prepare for them. Next one. Next one is focus on usability. Next one is invite feedback. So that's why you should have just like let the users to be able to contact you or contact the service provider about the comments about that one. Some of their comments are very useful so that you can improve the quality of the service. Maybe in this information system that you prepare, or maybe in the next version that you will update. And the last one, document everything. Whether it's pros and cons, whether they like or they don't like, and whether they have the feedback or not. Document everything so that you can use this information to improve the quality of the design. The next one, when we talk about the principle of the user-centered design already, then we talk about design the user interface. When you have to design the user interface, try to follow these 8 basic guidelines. The first one, design a transparent interface. 2, create an interface that is easy to learn and to use. 3, enhance user productivity. 4, make it easy for users to obtain help or correct errors. 5, minimize input data problems. 6, provide feedbacks to users. 7 create an attractive layout and design นะครับ be sure that it is not the text-based one because you have like the graphical user interface design. It should be graphics that user will see that okay, it is quite useful. You can see that when we talk about the mobile phone right now นะครับ because the screen you can design anything. That's why when we talk about just like the applications that you design on a smartphone นะครับ it is more attractive than just like having black and white games in the past with just like the mobile phone with just the touch button only นะครับ and the last one นะครับ use familiar terms and images so that users will not confused for what you are trying to communicate with them นะครับ so these are just like 8 basic guidelines that you should know นะครับ so when you design the user interface good user interface design นะครับ is based on a combination of ergonomics aesthetics and interface technology so just think about these 3 things as well นะครับ okay so let me give you some examples ครับ you can see that right now when you go to our classroom in MUIC นะครับ the instructor screen นะครับ when you see the instructor's computer นะครับ they right now they use all-in-one computer right okay in the past we didn't use that kind of computer we use the desktop computer in each classroom what happened was นะครับ there was a period of time that MUIC designed a table นะครับ with the computer inside what happened was นะครับ let's think of a table ครับ and on the tabletop it is the glass นะครับ inside they put the computer screen inside that table and then just at that time we had a CRT screen นะครับ not LCD screen like that and they put นะครับ instead of putting the screen นะครับ what to say vertically like we have got right now they put it นะครับ what to say lay down underneath the glass and after that you can see that when we had to control นะครับ at that time we had the keyboard as well and the keyboard if you just like put the glass sorry the screen นะครับ underneath the glass window นะครับ on the tabletop the keyboard had to be on the right hand side drawer instead that means okay this one ergonomic design was not passed it failed นะครับ that one apart from that one if you have to just like look on the screen your neck must be bended to see what is under the glass top นะครับ on the table that one นะครับ was poor ergonomic design even though if you just like look from outside นะครับ it looks nice for that table นะครับ it looks professional but in terms of ergonomic it was bad นะครับ and also if what to say you ask me that why do they have to do like that first one they say that they want everything to be compact because they don't want I mean like they are afraid that okay if the screen นะครับ is on the table นะครับ it just make the table messy and then sometimes if like the instructor just like push นะครับ or have something to put on the table a bit นะครับ they may just like fall down or they may just like tip over นะครับ that screen because the cables might be on the floor or something like that so they put everything in one box นะครับ and then it seems like it looks nice but it is not like practical นะครับ at that time so when you have the thing like this นะครับ when we talk about transparent interface นะครับ for the design of user interface designing the design has to be a transparent interface what does it mean in this one we have to facilitate the system design objective rather than calling attention to the interface. Also, the design must be easy to learn and to remember, because when the user comes back to use this system again, they remember and they know how to interact with the system. Design the interface to improve user efficiency and productivity, so that users can just like spend less time in order to interact with the system to produce the output that they want to have correctly. Write commands, actions, and system responses that are consistent and predictable. So users know that, okay, when they press this button already, what will happen next, something like that. The next one, when you create the user interface, it must be easy to learn and use. This one, in order to make the user interface to be easy to learn and use, you have to clearly label all controls, buttons, and icons. That means you must not have a blank button, because users will not know if you have a button like this. And you don't say anything. User does not know what is this button for, and they dare not to press this button because they don't know if they click on this button what will happen. So that's why you need to have clearly labeled all buttons, icons, or controls. So in this case, suppose apart from just like having the label on the icon already, you may have the bubbles to help as well. That means if the user move the mouse pointer over to hover on that icon or on that button, it should tell the user that, okay, what is this button for? And if you click, what will happen? Select only those images that users can understand easily and provide on-screen instructions that are logical, concise, and clear. So sometimes some of the icons or the images that has been using in some software to represent a button, we don't know what does that icon means, because we have never seen it before. This one is not the good selection of the images. Try to use that one that is understandable clearly, and it should be the buttons that other software use as well, so that it will be easy for your users to know what is that button for. Okay. And show all commands in a list of menu items. That means you should also have lists of menu items so that users can just like see all commands that they can be used in order to control that system as well. For example, some of the car, when you just like use the voice command with the car, this one, if you don't connect your car with Apple CarPlay, I mean like the voice command of the car itself, sometimes you don't know that what command that you can use. Some car you can say that, okay, list commands, then it just like tell you what commands you can use with the car, maybe on both on screen and also it speak out, so that you know what commands that you can use in order to control. Same as the information system, when you design, you should have a list of commands that can be seen on the screen as well. Some of the people say that I would just like create a cheat sheet and a shortcut card to give to the users, and what if they lost it? They don't know how to control this system easily. So that's why you should have the list of commands for them on the screen. When they click, it should show all the commands that you have got, and make it easy to navigate to. So sometimes user may want to just like go back and forth. You have to just like think that, is it possible to just like go back to the previous page? Because sometimes if the users go to the previous page, and if you say that, okay, because you really have to use the catch on the page, that user just like come into this page already, then you may just like prevent the users to go back by just like if they just click on back button, it might just like pop up and ask them that okay, you will lost all the data นะครับ or once user click on back, nothing gonna happen because you don't allow them to just like press back button, something like that. So try to make it easy to navigate. The next one นะครับ enhance user productivity. For designing the user interface to enhance the user productivity, you have to organize tasks, commands, and functions in groups. Why is that? Because we would like to resemble actual business operations นะครับ For example, if you just like group นะครับ the functions for sales นะครับ together, you group the functions for accounting together, you group the functions for system administrator together. This one can help enhancing the user productivity because they can just go to that function straight away that match with their operations or their work นะครับ You may create an alphabetical menu list as well so that users นะครับ might just like see from the list and choose นะครับ and this one, the create alphabetical menu list is the optional นะครับ because I mean like if you organize the tasks or commands in the that group by the actual business operations already, sometimes นะครับ somebody is like quite familiar with the alphabetical list of the menu instead, then you may have that one นะครับ But if you think that no, I think that it will make users confused, then just organize them in the group is enough นะครับ Then provide shortcuts so experienced user can avoid multiple menu levels. For example, sometimes if you say that okay, you have to just like browse to like 5 or 6 different levels of menu, you may say that okay, we have shortcut. If user press Control M, something like that, it jumps to that page directly or jumps to that data entry directly นะครับ or go to search by using Control Alternate S, something like that. Then it pops up the search box for the users. Then use default values if the majority of values in a field are the same. For example นะครับ in this one, if we say that okay, we would like to have a questionnaire for a student นะครับ for MUIC students, you can see that okay, for MUIC student we have both undergrad students and master students, but anyway majority are undergrad students. So that means anyone who just like come to answer this questionnaire นะครับ most of them are undergrad students. When they just like come to this form, the checkbox check at undergrad student first. But if they are not, for example, if they are like the grad student, they just like check on grad student instead. So if you just have like the checkbox to have the default values like the undergrad student นะครับ it saves the time for the respondents นะครับ of that questionnaire because they can just like skip that question straight away if they are undergrad students นะครับ These are default value that you should do it นะครับ The next one, after that, when you have to design the user interface นะครับ try to make it easy for users to obtain help or correct errors นะครับ by ensuring that the help is always available. It might be both online help นะครับ or offline help as well. For online help, user just click to see นะครับ the frequently asked question or the help that specifically answer the question that users has are confronting. Or the offline นะครับ it might be just like contact number นะครับ that users can contact the call center, or you may just have like the live chat นะครับ to help solving the problem for users as well. And provide user selected help and context sensitive help นะครับ so that users can just like solve the problem นะครับ for I mean like users can just like search นะครับ for the help on specific topic, or I mean, like when users has the problem at that time, it just offer the help for that problem straight away. For example, on the right hand side, you can see that this one is the user selected help. You have list of the frequently asked problems. User can click on these help topics, and then it can just like go to the details for each problems or each topic that users can navigate more. Apart from that one, how to minimize the input data problems. In order to minimize input data problems, we have to create input mask. Input mask is the way that we just like prepare the field of data to be entered according to our predefined mask. For example, if we say that, okay, this data must be number only. And if user type some alphabets like text like ABC, it just like show the error, or it just delete that data and ask you in order to hang on, just won't be long now, and ask you in order to what to say, to enter the new data instead because that data might be wrong. Okay, so hang on The next one is to display event-driven messages and reminders. In this one, for event-driven messages and reminder means that, okay, when users do something, what is the message that you may just like would like to the users to know? For example, suppose the user just type, I mean like for the dates, birthday, let's say. The users may just like accidentally type today's date instead, and then you should just like pop up and tell the users that, okay, this shouldn't be the birthday, please change, something like that. Or you may have the reminder, like for example, before user just click next, you may have the reminder to show the users that, okay, don't forget to enter this one before you go to the next page, otherwise you cannot come back on this page, something like that. Just have the reminder for them. Establish a list of predefined values that users can click to select. For example, you can see that if you ask the users to enter what to say, the country code for the phone, sometimes we can't remember what country code that we are using. For example, in Thailand, you can see that most of the time we use, like if we are talking about mobile phone, it starts with 0 something, 08, 09, 04, but we may forget what is a country code. So the easy way in order to help the users is that users can choose from the country. So in the list, you may have the drop-down list. When users use country Thailand, it just pop up the country code for you that is +66, something like that automatically. And built-in rules that enforce data integrity. For example, suppose you say that, okay, you would like to enter the student ID as the login ID or user ID of Sky Plus system. Assume that we say that, okay, user ID for Sky Plus system must be student ID. Then all of us know that the third digit of your user of your student ID for all MUSC students is number 8, right? Okay, so that means you may have like 6 to 8 something, or 638 something. So if some users just type 639, then you just like pop up the error immediately that, okay, before they just go to enter the password, tell them that, okay, this is not the format of the user ID or student ID of MUIC. Okay, please re-enter. นะครับ These might be the rules to enforce data integrity. Or sometimes the data integrity in here means that in some cases you are not allowed to delete this record นะครับ if there are some records left นะครับ in another set of things. For example, if we say that okay, suppose we would like to remove นะครับ or delete student records about like the course and the grades that they took นะครับ we said that okay, if you would like to delete student information that are the basic information of students, we may not allow to do so. For example, um, student ID, student name, address, and so on. Because if you delete that student record, the record that tells us about the grade of the student will not have any other referencing for the student name anymore because you delete all the student name already. This one, you have to enforce data integrity, not allow users to delete student name without clearing out all other data first, something like that. Okay, the next one, we talk about provide feedbacks to user. In this one, what does it mean? When you design the user interface, it should be able to display messages at a logical place on the screen so that users know what they are doing. For example, some system may have a status bar on the lower part of the screen, and it may show in green, in blue color, if everything is okay, or gray color is everything is okay, or warning message might be in pink, error message might be in red, something like that in the same position. While some of the system, it pops up the error message in the middle of the screen. But for other confirmation messages, might be just like on the lower part of the screen in the softer color than the red color. Apart from that one, you have to alert users to lengthy processing times or delay. This one, many of the system has a status bar on the lower part of the screen. And it said that, okay, if users click on something, and if you know that, okay, the system is processing, you may have the status bar telling the users that, okay, processing, please wait. And then it has some blinking so that users know that, okay, they have to wait. Otherwise, if they don't know, they might just like click on the button many times because they want to get the answer, or they may close the programs and then restart it. That means the process that is in the server might be just like suspended. Then you have to let them know what is the system is doing, especially for lengthy processing times or delays. Sometimes when user enter the data already, and this is the batch job, for example, we say that the users change the name of the users in the system. We say that, okay, normally changing the name of the users, it will be update at the night time because it is the batch job, because we have to change the name of the users in every table that we have got, something like that. Once user clicks submit for changing, you have to let the users know that, okay, for this one, users have to wait until tomorrow to see the effect of the changes, right? After that, the design of the user interface needs to allow messages to remain on the screen long enough for users to read them. Okay, for example, let me just give you some good and bad example. For Zoom, you can see that if you are sending to the breakout room, if you are sending to the breakout room, the host of the Zoom, for example, if I am opening this room for us, when I send you to the breakout room, I'm the host. I can broadcast a message to all of you. For example, I say that, so everyone, could you please type in the Google form for me for answering this? Okay, let's say. and I send as the broadcasting message. You know, it just like show us for, let's say, 10 or at most 12 seconds only for the broadcasting message. Some students, they are discussing and they don't see that message, or they might not be able to copy that message to go to the Google form at all. So this is the problem. You need to have the message to be remain on the screen long enough for users to read them as well. Some of the screen, when you have like some error, if you pop up just like 1 second, user doesn't know what's going on. For example, I found that some form, when you ask the users to type in, when they type in wrongly, for example, if they say that, okay, you ask the users to enter their user ID and password. For example, some of the government information system, they may need to have user ID and password that is very long, that we cannot generate password by ourselves. You have to use the password that is automatically generated by the system. And then you enter user ID and password already. Then when it's the password is wrong, sometimes it just blink, just in just one blink, and then while you are just like busy with doing something, you don't know what's going on, and then you thought that what happened to it, then you just like click log in again. Some of the system, they say that they allow users to enter the data wrongly for three times, and then the account will be locked for an hour, something like that. So I'm sure that many of the people get that account to be locked because they don't see the message that is showing in a very short period of time. So the next one, let the user know whether the task or operation was successful or not. And also it must be long enough to let them read it. Okay, if it's successful, you may just like pop up that, okay, success, please wait, and then it just like you may just take the delay time for a couple of seconds before you just like bring them to another page, something like that. The next thing that you have to do for designing the user interface is to create an attractive layout and design. In order to create an attractive layout and design, try to use appropriate colors to highlight different areas on the screen. So that means in different part of the screen, if you want to highlight that area, you may have to use like some color that is not the fluorescent one. It might be the basic color like blue, light blue, in different shades. And then you use spatial effects sparingly. So this one, I just like think about like one of my good friend, or long-time friend, when we studied master degree together. We studied for the subject that is human-computer interaction, HCI design at that time. At the end of the term, we had to just like develop a project to show HCI in different modes. At that time, I remember that she, at that time, what did she do? She developed a CD-ROM in order to introduce the tourists to come to visit Thailand. And then I remember that at that time she had to use screen, keyboard, mouse, and then speakers as well. Okay, to just like to run this CD. So on the menu, I remember that when she clicked on every single button, it just like play some sound. So the things that, okay, and everyone laughed because the sound was just like springing or some annoying sound, and everyone was laughing at that one because every time when she just press any buttons on any pages, this sound like spring sound just pop up all the time. So this one, you can see that special effects like this, you can use it, but use it sparingly. Otherwise it will become annoying. It will become annoying. So I remember that last year I talked to my friend, this friend, and talked about her project. And she said that, oh, really? I couldn't remember what I did. But I said that, okay, you just ask our friends. Everyone can remember your just special effect sound that you had at that time. Something like that. And then use hyperlinks that allow users to jump to related topics. Lastly, group related objects and information together. Apart from attractive layout and design that you have to do, the next thing is about familiar terms and images. Bear in mind that you don't use like new pictures all the times to represent like some buttons or some parts of the screen that users have been using before. So that's why you can see that most of the software on Windows or on Mac, they usually use similar symbol to represent the same thing, because it will help users to remember and then just like know what do they have to do if they have to click on that button or fill up the data in that one. Remember that users are accustomed to pattern of red means stop, yellow means caution, and green means go in here. Let's imagine that if you have a red button and you said save, and green button you said cancel, this one will make users confused. I'm sure that somebody will click green button and then all the actions they did is gone because they thought that it's go or save or okay, while actually the real thing is to cancel that task, because sometimes they click before they think, because they just like use their intuition for the pattern of of green means go. Then provide a keystroke alternative for each menu command for the users too, because sometimes some users may want to use some keystroke to help with the mouse to be able to enter the data quickly. For example, suppose you have many fields. Let me just show you in the next page. You have many fields like this. In order to enter the field, for example, in here you can see SSN, right? When you enter SSN already and you want to enter last name, somebody just like say that, okay, I click on last name and type, but the shortcut is the tab keystroke. In this kind of field list like this, user tab keystroke, or if you press enter, it jumps to the next cell for you automatically. Something like this. So this is a thing that you have to know, that you have to provide keystroke to help for using as the alternative for each menu command. Then we use familiar commands if possible. For example, Control S means save, Control Q means quit, something like that. Control C means copy, Control V means paste, Control X means cut, and so on. Provide a Windows look and feel in your interface design if users are familiar with Windows-based application. By the way, you can see that when we talk about the applications on the mobile phone, we never use the Windows look and feel because we say that it's different platform. If you use Windows look and feel, you have to just like waste the space on the screen in order to have like the menu like a Windows. So that's why we just like use different ways. You can see that for smartphone and tablet, we use the similar look and feel for the interface design. The next thing, when you have to add control features in this example, you can see that we have menu bar on the top that you should have for all of the information systems. If it is on the desktop computer or on the web base, menu like this should be okay. But if it is a web-based design, you can just like set it up as just like different way a bit. You may have just like the navigation pane on the left-hand side instead, something like that. Toolbar, you have the toolbar for the users in order to choose นะครับ command button นะครับ command button that users can just like use to just like do something นะครับ dialog box นะครับ that users can see just like the things that they have text box that users can type in the data นะครับ or toggle button นะครับ so these are just like the control features that that we can use in order to let the users นะครับ to enter the data easily นะครับ apart from that one for the control features นะครับ that we have more like list box or scroll bar นะครับ is useful drop down list box option button or radio button นะครับ check box calendar control นะครับ or we may have switchboard to list group of commands to the users as a button like a main menu that users can choose นะครับ depends on your user interface design that you may want to have นะครับ after we have this one already นะครับ user interface design is just like used together with input and output design นะครับ to the system as well. So the next thing that I'm going to talk about นะครับ is output design. So when you have to talk about the output design นะครับ ask yourself with several questions. First one, what is the purpose of the output of that output? Okay. Who wants the information? Or who is the user of that information? Why is it needed? And how will it be used? Somebody said that they use on screen นะครับ data is enough. Somebody said that okay because they are the warehouse officer นะครับ they need to use a paper-based one because they have to put it นะครับ or attach it on the top of the pallet that they just like store the product. Somebody said that okay because these products they have to do the aging first นะครับ aging means that okay they have to leave this product for a while in some certain conditions. For example นะครับ if we are talking about the concrete product like a car, not a car, sorry, what to say, the floor concrete block นะครับ the flooring concrete block you may see like when you walk along the streets นะครับ on the footpath you see just like the concrete block that they lay on the floor might be in some patterns like a worm patterns or might be a square shape something like that. So when they produce นะครับ from the factory they cannot use straight away they have to do the aging first. How are they gonna do? Firstly they put these concrete in the block first. When they get the shape of what they want already they stack all of them นะครับ on the pallets and after that they wrap with the plastic wrap put them นะครับ exposed to the sunlight นะครับ because they need to have the time for aging around 10 days or 14 days. After that they unwrap and then they just stack them นะครับ to the smaller pallet for how many items that they just like plan for that small pallet นะครับ this is the way that they have to do for aging. So that means from the factory when they build these concrete blocks already and wrap with a plastic wrap they need to have the sticker for batch control นะครับ firstly they said that the sticker here they the first design นะครับ this one is for CPAC company an affiliated company from SCG. The first time that they had the sticker it was two choices. There were two choices. The first one paper-based sticker นะครับ when they just like put the sticker on นะครับ it was just like what to say broken easily นะครับ sometimes it's torn out because if you put the paper sticker on the plastic wrap and if it's raining out there นะครับ it's just like that kind of sticker นะครับ will be destroyed easily while the what to say plastic sticker. At that time, it was very expensive when they have to use lots of them in every pallet นะครับ of the concrete block. It increased the cost of the production. So and if we say that, is it possible to be on screen? No, it's impossible because all the pallets are on the outdoor, exposed to the sunlight. You need to have some of the information to control the batch of production too. So at that time, they decide to use paper-based sticker นะครับ They make it to be just like a bit cheaper than the plastic one by having a paper base with the coating นะครับ and also the solution in order to make that sticker to be last long was that they put the sticker on a plastic wrap นะครับ on the pallet and then they wrap the plastic another layer over that sticker once again. So this one, if it's raining out there, no problem ครับ because they have like another layer or 2 layers of plastic wrapping to protect that stickers already ครับ so this is the example of the usage of the output นะครับ and what specific information will be included, what information that they need to use in that output. For example นะครับ we have information for the students. So whenever we have to print out, for example, if you would like to print out the grade report or transcript of the student, we have student ID, student name. But even we have your address, your phone number, your email address, but we never put it in the transcript. Nobody does that. None of universities in the world enter students address and phone number on the transcript. So that means you have to know that, okay, that information is not needed, and sometimes it is your confidential data. It must not be included in that document. Will the output be printed, viewed on the screen, or both? And what type of device will the output go to? So this one will help us to justify what type of devices that we have to buy, what type of materials that we have to buy as the media to transfer the output, like on paper, on thermal sticker, on thermal printer, or on thermal paper. For example, you can see that if you go to buy the anything from 7-Eleven and they print out the receipt for you, the receipt like that, it is the thermal transfer printer. That means you can print it quickly and quietly. That is a good point. But the point that is like cons for this kind of thermal transfer paper is that first, it doesn't last long. If you just put on the dashboard of the car for a couple of hours, for example, you park the car outdoor and then you just like run to do something in the building for a couple of hours and there's sunny out there. When you come back, it turns black already and then you cannot read any information anymore. That is the con. Apart from that one, the thermal transfer paper is more expensive than the plain paper. But anyway, you can see that the quality of the printing is better than the ribbon printer or dot matrix printer. Then you can see that some of the shop, they are still using the dot matrix printer because they have to keep changing the color ribbon. If they don't change, it will be faded. Sometimes you couldn't read it. But this one, the advantage is that it is lasts longer than the thermal printer printing paper, and also it's cheaper because if you just put to expose to the sunlight, there's no problem, you can still read it. That one. Okay, so this one, when you just like decide for this, you can decide for the device and the materials that you have to purchase after this. so for the output นะครับ before you design it you have to ask yourself with several questions when will the information be provided and how often must it be updated do security or confidentiality of the data นะครับ issues exist or not because sometimes if you print it out on a paper it might not be confidential anymore นะครับ or if you still want to have the confidentiality นะครับ when you print it out how can you do it นะครับ your answers will affect your output design strategies for example นะครับ for the ATM card when you get the ATM card they may have like an envelope to give you for the PIN code for the ATM you can see that that one is printed but how can they make it to be more secured they use the dot matrix printer to print on that one for you and then they have the patterns of some text in the dark color to cover that numbers so it might be on the back of the envelopes so that means if you just like see it over the light you don't see that one except you tear off the envelope and see the numbers inside something like that that is just like the way in order to control for the confidentiality of the data okay so I think I'll stop my lecture at this point and then we'll continue on next Wednesday for the output design so let me talk about like the our examination a bit okay so on next Monday the examination that we will have it consists of 3 cases 3 different cases 2 cases I will have the case about the short case for you maybe half of the page and then I'll let you just like answer the case questions different from the case study in the case study in the class you have to summarize it first but this one no need you just like answer the question straight away when you answer the question already make sure that you answer the question in like the proper space I mean like in proper of number of text that you should write in for example if I say that okay which choice will you choose and why for example if I ask like this the things that you have to explain is that okay we choose choice A because blah 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 then you explain don't say that okay if you have to consider like the score or the point of that question as well if I say that that question is 10 points you should answer long enough to get 10 points but if you say that okay I choose choice A and you don't explain anything you may get just 2 or 3 points at most in that one so see the score you don't need to ask me that how many because I mean last batch asked me that how many words do we have to write to answer in each question I just like don't want to stick to number of words you just like see the score of each question before you make a decision sometimes some question I saw that okay some question I give you just 3 or 4 points only but you answer for 2 or 3 paragraphs while another question it's 10 points you answer just 2 lines something like that it's different so just like see the importance of the question depends on the score that I just like put for you because normally on the back of each question I'll just write down number of points for each question for you 2 cases for answering the other case is for data flow diagrams for data flow diagrams I have like to let you draw the context diagram and diagram 0 just that so when you have to draw context diagram and diagram 0 the tips for this one even though I said that I asked you to draw context diagram in question 1 diagram 0 in question 2 but you can just like draw the diagram 0 in question 2 first after that go back to question 1 to fill up the context diagram it might be easier for you just that and we have 2 hours to do our exam it's from 12 o'clock to 2 o'clock Karan, question will be open-ended. Yes, it is open-ended. No correct answer, but you have to explain. Well, yes, you are right. It will be like that. So that's why most of the students did very well in this course if you explain. But if you don't explain, I don't know how to give you the score anyway. So when you did in the case study, it was very good because you try to explain a lot during your presentation. Do the same thing in your exam. Okay. So are there any other questions that you would like to know? Oh, by the way, exam is from chapter 1 to chapter 6 chapter 1 to chapter 6. The chapter number 7 that we are studying today is not included It includes up to chapter 6 only. That is the development strategies, just that. Can you upload the videos? Yes, I try to upload as soon as I can because actually I think more than half of them are on the canvas already. I'll just like upload more. Okay. Okay. Submission, we have to convert to PDF before sending, right? Yes, please, make it as a PDF first so that I can just like use my iPad to mark the score for you. Because some of the students just send it me as the picture file, then I had to just like convert it first, because I mean, like when I get the file from Canvas, I have to download it into my to my iPad straight away. If it is the picture, I cannot I have to download in some places. For example, I have to download to my computer first, convert it as PDF, and then just like upload it back to Canvas on your submission, and then use iPad again to download that file. That wastes the time. Okay, right. Any other questions so far, anyone? You send me one file. Yes. Okay. Submit to me just one file only in the exam. And for the next class the things that we will do on next Wednesday is to present the case study first of chapter 6. Oh, I just like set up the team for each case in chapter 6 already You can just go to the Canvas to see who has to work on which case study. And after that we will continue with chapter 7 until we finish. Okay. Right. Any other questions so far, everyone?